Hello, I'm Dr. Cyndi Burnett, Creativity and Education Specialist, and today is World Creativity and Innovation Week, and we've got some music, there. And so it's World Creativity and Innovation Week. It's day 2 of our Creativity Challenge, and I've got my friend Barney Saltzberg. You want to say hi, Barney?
Hi, Barney. I'm a children's book author and illustrator and songwriter.
And in this 7-day creativity challenge, we are bringing in 7 experts. So yesterday we met Naja Bolden, and today I'd like to introduce you to Monica Kang of InnovatorsBox. She is the founder and CEO of InnovatorsBox, and she works with Fortune 500 companies, higher education, government, non-for-profits. She's also the author of Rethink Creativity. So Monica, welcome from DC.
Thank you for having me. Fun time to be here together. We were just chatting about how with the different time zones, how much online permits more opportunities. And so really excited that we can meet new friends online here at this time.
Yeah.
Great. Well, we have brought you here today to challenge us with a new creative thinking activity. So have you prepared one?
Yes. And I thought...
No.
Make that a fun of the challenge. Sorry, guys, that was it for the show. We'll see you.
Bye.
Well, I'm so glad you asked, because one of the things it's been on my mind, and I think for many of us, whether especially for parents, who's probably watching, and children and students, is the question of burnout, stress, and change. And, we were just actually been chatting offline as we were getting started, how our morning or afternoon has already been. And let's be honest, like for those who might be joining live, or, those who are here, for us, like how often do we end the day and realize, is this what I thought our day was going to be versus like not? So raise your hand if it wasn't the day that you thought it was going to be, right? Thank you. That's exactly, I think it has always been, but for somehow it feels even more during this time of the pandemic. And so that part of the creativity exercise is what I wanted to bring, because if this is indeed the days that we are living, how do we see that more wisely with fun instead of feeling like that's something that is out of control? And so here is my quick tip, because my approach to creativity innovation that I found to be always helpful as a traditional non-creative who got into creativity is to simplify. So the more overwhelmed and stressed I feel about change, I think about going back to the basics on these 2 things. And if we can do this activity with both of you as a start, that would love it, which is 1, your happy list. What are at least 5 things that that makes you happy and truly happy regardless of the situation? Maybe you had a bad argument with your best friend, and you still know that when you go back to that list and do that one of the things, it will still make you happy.
So in like an activity or something like I love to dance, like anything like that?
That's a great question. I think that's where the beauty is that it's open to interpretation for each person. For some, it might be that I can just do a happy dance and I'm going to feel better. And for others, it might be that I feel like me having a happy dance while listening to a particular music of a tone, or at a particular time. So I would rather encourage, it might be an activity, it might be listening or reading something, it might be the feeling of something, but the more specific it is, the better and easier. Maybe it's a favorite book. Maybe it's just having your favorite cup of coffee and just like, let me daze out for a few minutes.
Okay, so you want us to make that list?
Yes, please, if we can. Can we do that?
5 things that make us happy. Okay.
Yeah. 5 things. The more detail, the better. Happy and energized. And as you're writing, I'll share one of my favorite, which is actually watching the sky. I think there's something powerful about not overthinking. I was like, oh, look at the clouds. Look at the tree. I can feel the breeze. And it calms me down to realize, okay, I don't know what's going to happen next, but I can at least appreciate this view for a little bit. I feel like I need a soundtrack in the back.
You could sing if you'd like.
Oh, feels weird. I unfortunately singing isn't one of my traits, so I will save that as a random sound effect. Happy and energized. Whenever you're ready, would love to.
Okay.
Yes, please, Barney, would you like to share some with us?
No, these are secret. Yes. Well, you started, you
you.
planted the seed. The first one, these are not in any priority level, but drinking a
Yeah.
good cup of coffee,
Yes.
playing music alone and with friends,
Mm.
guitar player, as you might guess
Yes.
from the back, drawing, painting, and making art,
Mm.
traveling with my wife, and playing with my grandson and our dogs. I
Mm.
have a 3-month-old grandson.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you
Sure.
for sharing that. Cyndi, do you have yours?
Yes, I do. So I'm a musical theater child at heart. So I love musical theater. So singing, dancing, Hairspray, Hamilton, pretty much anything that is more contemporary and fun. I love singing and dancing around the house. I sometimes wonder what my neighbors think of me. Playing games with my kids, watching children playing outside. It's funny because when you mentioned the cup of coffee, I too also said, oh yes, that is definitely my happy place. Planting and gardening and propagating plants, and really just turning my phone off and going and doing something. So not worrying about what's happening inside of the landscape of your phone.
Thank you for sharing, both of you sharing that. And I hope, Cyndi, this goes back to your beautiful question, but like, what is an activity that is considered happy? And I think this is part of the thing when we don't have this identified, when we're at the thick of stress and anxiety, change and uncertainty, it feels harder to know what we can do to shift from anxiety feeling to feeling calmer and happy. And so I found that how important it was, even when I'm in the thick of all that chaotic change. Let me get my favorite milk tea. I know I'm going to feel a little better at least. And then as soon as I have that milk tea in my coffee, I pause for a little bit and I realize, well, that's how I needed that moment to help me reframe. Because often the power of reframing as creativity, innovation, at the end of the day, is just thinking differently. But if we take a moment to know actually what makes us happy, it's a lot easier. And that stress burden of like change feels less stressful because we know that I know at least I can go get that coffee, that I can go speak with my wife, that I can maybe perhaps go, play my music, that I can go and illustrate and watch musical. Like having the empowerment to know that what I can do is part of the beauty of what I found to be making the stress management more manageable instead of feeling overwhelming. And this is the very reason why actually the second activity I want to do together to build on that is actually creating also the unhappy list. And it might seem contradictory to feel like, wait, Monica, why are you asking us to think about unhappy things? And I'm like, play with me a little bit. So as a start, we'll just identify only 3 to not think of too many unhappy things, but 3 things that with certainty that it will drain you, it will make you unhappy. So if you can write down and
Just
identify,
3?
just 3 as a start. The first 3 that comes to mind. And again, I challenge you to be specific. There's a particular moment. And as you're thinking, I encourage you to be curious about the thoughts that's coming to mind. What is indeed making me unhappy? And how do I define what unhappy actually means for me? Whenever you're ready.
Okay. Cyndi?
Sure, 3 things. So detailed paperwork where I have to like read something to be able to do something, or I have to fill something out and then print it out and then scan it and then send it and get things in the mail. Like anything that has to do with like developing and tweaking things in minor ways. Oh, it's so painful. Despite what my kids think, which they think I love to clean, I absolutely hate to clean. And cleaning.
You're watching this, guys.
Cleaning in my house with 2 children who are working, who are doing schoolwork from home. And then, I clean everything and I'm like, look at that. And then I go into the bathroom and I come out and I'm like, what happened in those 2 minutes? And then giving challenging feedback to people. So, I think feedback is a really important part of everything that we do, and having hard conversations. I like to be the creative champion, not the the creative critiquer. So like when I know I have to have a hard conversation, it's hard for me. I want to hug them.
Barney, what about
I'll take your first one and your last one. The middle one, I don't do housekeeping, so I'm good. But yeah, I said organizing, paperwork, that, sorting, filing, bad. My sister said that we have a piling system. So then to take that pile, like there was a pile on my desk that I put in the house. I brought it out here to deal with, and it's just sitting there. I have to now go through it, and it's like, I don't know why my brain just scrambles in those moments. Working on taxes and anything to do with math. So, and then I have a group that I mentor, and I think when it's not positive feedback, it's really hard for me.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Thank you both for sharing. Barney, I was smiling because I was like, piling versus filing, small nuance. Right?
Someone described that to my sister. Because once I went to the organizing, I love going to like the organizing stores, and buying all the stuff. And they had these really beautiful boxes, and you could write little labels. And so my sister said, no, because once you put them in that box and close it, it's out of sight, out of mind. Leave it out, and then you'll at least hopefully deal with it.
Well, it's so funny. And thank you both for sharing. For me, one of my top thing is, I feel like either walking into a conversation or feel like I'm in a conversation, I feel disrespected or feel that disrespect happening or, discrimination. And I think for me, what I came to realize as one of the reasons why that unhappy moment showed up was because I realized how important respect and feeling connected was. So Cyndi, actually, you were hitting on the nail, right? Part of the reason why a lot of the things that we feel drained, and Barney for you as well, is because it makes us feel like we can't do what is kind of our superpower, what we love doing. Like, Barney, when you shared off the mouth, like correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like it might come across as the barriers where you feel like, no, being creative and being artistic and like being able to illustrate means I should do more of that and not have like a number that's limiting me. And then Cyndi, as you said with the cleaning, it's like making me drained because like I thought everything was organized, and now you come out and it's not again. So it's like, what's the point of doing this? And so I share this as an activity that I hope simplifies in a curious thought we think about creativity. Because something as simple as this, where it's simply taking the moment to identify and pause what is making me happy, what's truly making me unhappy, actually empowers us to know how we feel, and hence how we know what we can design our days differently to plan how we want to feel.
So you're saying I should just plan on never doing paperwork and taxes?
Well, so that's the beautiful aspect. It's not never. We don't want to upset our tax accountants. Thank you very much. But it's the beautiful thing of like, now that I identify it, what can I do to design it in a way maybe I spend less time and then empower those who can. So in my case, because I also hate numbers, Barney, like you, as an Asian, I still hate numbers. What I do is I make sure the number one thing I did when I had to hire somebody was like find an excellent accountant, because that is the last thing I want to stress about. Like, how can I find team members who are going to be amazing number people? Like, how can I find a partner in a business who's going to understand, they're going to complement strengths that I am weak, so that I can thrive and feel limitless? How can I find somebody, Cyndi, you talked about organizing. For me, I'm the opposite. I'm actually the organizer of my team. So I'm usually the one who loves doing all the organizing. And then all my team members are like, great, like I hate organizing. I'm like, great, well, I hate this, you do that. So it complements. And I say this because I think sometimes feeling unhappy, and I think about the ghost, because I'm scared of scary movies and ghosts. It's like the ghost feels scary because I can't see and I don't know when the ghost is going to come up. That uncertainty makes it feel harder. But if I know at least I'm scared of ghosts, so I choose not to watch scary movies, I'm going to try my best to figure out how do I offload my tax and my cleaning things. Or I know sometimes cleaning is not the same, sorry. But, the number organizing or, the paperwork that I have to do, then it feels I'm in control. And even the uncertainty and the stress that I feel then, even though I feel stressed right now, I know what I can do to reduce that. And I find that to be a really powerful activity, especially for adults who's listening right now, who feel like everything's topsy-turvy and like we have nothing that I can manage. The more uncertain we feel, I found that the creativity, the true power is at the end. Creativity simply means rethinking about something, just having the power to see something different when everyone else sees something else. That's going to take courage, but also curiosity, and the curiosity to start just like, what are we certain about? Well, I'm certain that that coffee that I have is going to make me happy. Let's make sure you have enough coffee at home then. That's a starting point. Because maybe if you don't, then I know that without that chocolate that I can snack on later, if I get stressed, I might feel more grumpier. To bring a simple truth. But I'm curious as I say this, I mean, Barney and Cyndi, what's coming up and how is this resonating with both of you?
Say that last thing again.
Oh, how is this resonating with both of you as I say this?
Well, the paperwork is still staring at me. I mean, maybe if I had a really good cup of coffee while I was dealing with it, my fear is that I might start resenting my coffee. But I think, what I'm taking away for this is maybe doing almost like micro chores rather than the overwhelming sense of I've got to deal with this whole space. I'm going to deal with this pile right now. And once that's done, I can go have my coffee or do something that I like. And by the time I'm 107, my office will be clean, which is great. It's because I plan on living a long time.
Reframing one at a time. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I really like the idea of structuring your day so you know when you're going to have to deal with things. And I also would add to that, something I think a lot about is doing it when you have the energy to do it. So I know Monday mornings I can do all that detailed paperwork, clean the house, and give challenging feedback. On Friday afternoons, like right around now, I can pretty much talk to Barney because that's pretty much the energy I have. It's like, I need something playful, which by the way, he also is something that I would put on my happy list. Like just talking to him whenever we get to chat, it always makes me energizes me. Yeah. So, finding a friend that I trust and can be playful with, and balancing that out with some of the other things. So I think finding that balance and striking that balance when we know our energy is when we need that energy to be able to complete the task that we need to. And then I also think that, being aware that cleaning the house makes me unhappy, listening to, Hamilton while I'm cleaning the house does make it easier.
Yeah.
And what?
How you have that, I don't know what that app is that you do work with other people to sort of keep yourself accountable when you're online. Maybe we could have Zoom on or FaceTime while we organize.
Oh, yeah, it's stay happy and then.
Or another thought would be I could just have those really nice boxes shipped to you with my stuff in them. You can send them back organized. No, but I like the idea of parallel working.
It's the power of reframing. And I found this to be so powerful. And thank you both for building on that, because I think especially regardless of age, I think for those who are also watching who's a student, who's young, who's like, I'm young, what do I like? I'm stressed about all these uncertainty. All of us, unfortunately, surprised, no matter how age you are, what age or background you are, we all have uncertainty that we face. And I think the pandemic only affirmed we're going to always have that in life. But I hope that this simple tool can be your secret hidden list to know that you have the power to structure with what you can. And then suddenly everything else feels more flexible. So maybe the structure is that, Cyndi and Barney as an example is that, okay, we do want to do that, parallel, we'll organize, we'll be on the call and kind of do our own thing. But maybe it's that this is the day and time, but the flexibility is that I might not decide what paperwork I'm going to do, what type of cleaning I do, or what type of paperwork of filing I need to do until the day of. That's the flexibility you could choose. And maybe that, Barney, can we be on the call? But I might still actually do something happy because I need to do that until I do the paperwork. That's the flexibility. But at least having some structure to start makes it easier, and then stress hence easier. So I hope
if I were filing paperwork and Cyndi was dancing to Hamilton and singing while I was doing that, would make it more fun. And coffee.
And coffee. And
chocolate. I like this idea of merging.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm into strawberry milk chocolate right now.
Ooh, that sounds delicious. And I think also building in something happy or joyful every day into your life. And I think that's also where creativity comes into play, is if you spend time creating, and this is one of Barney's tips around living a more creative life, even if you spend 5 minutes creating something,
absolutely,
that's enough to get you sort of out of.
I have a new thing that I'm doing now. I don't know if you remember the show Whose Line Is It Anyway, but it's an improv show, and you can find them on YouTube, and they actually have them all the reruns on HBO Max. I watch 5 or 10 minutes before I go to sleep at night. I was shaking the bed from laughing last night, and it is so different to go to sleep laughing.
Yes.
It's really lovely.
But like that's the part I found to be so powerful. It's like if we know how powerful even a 5-minute interaction with the right people or certain people could make us feel so different, what if we choose to design that purposely? Like we choose to think about, just like as you made the decision of like, I chose to watch that show before I go to bed. Like for me, actually, I love watching K-dramas because I just need to transition into something completely non-realistic to just like days that like, oh, that's funny. That would never happen in real life, because I'm like focusing so much on strategizing all day and helping companies and culture change all day out, that I need something that's like fairy tale like to feel like, okay, it's gonna all work out. Let me go to bed now.
Yeah.
And that power hopefully changes. And so I hope that tip could help you, and know that you have the power to reframe creativity every single day. The choice.
Thank you so much, Monica, for joining us today. And if you like Monica's work, check out her website at InnovatorsBox. Also check out her book, Rethink Creativity. And thank you so much for joining us on day 2 of our Creativity Challenge. Tomorrow we have Pronitra, and she will be doing something with us actually she's doing Wacky Inventions tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, same place. Hope to see you there. Check out WCIW.org, that's World Creativity and Innovation.org, for hundreds of events that are happening throughout the world. And thanks so much again, Monica, and we wish you well, and hopefully we'll see you at some point after this pandemic.
Yes, indeed. Thank you all very much for having me. Thank you for doing this.